Hey everyone, Simon here from Top Tennis Training, and in this video I want to help you to generate effortless power on your forehand using 5 simple steps. Now the first step is generating good racket head speed. Now we can do everything right in the preparation, we can do everything right using our body, the big muscle groups, but if our racket is traveling through the contact zone slowly, we simply won't have the power that we want. So it's all about creating this fast racket head speed through the contact point. So it all comes back to this racket head speed, and actually all 5 steps will lead us to generating more racket head speed. Everything that allows us to swing the racket faster during that contact zone gives us more power. That's why you sometimes see players with poor technique but very fast racket and they still generate power because they have a quick hand, a quick racket through that contact zone. So everything starts and finishes with generating more racket head speed. The quicker our racket travels through the contact zone, the more power we will have on that forehand. Now a simple way to test your racket head speed is to simply shadow your forehand. You could do this in your garden, you could do this out on the court next time you're playing, and just listen if you hear anything happening during your contact zone. So if I do a couple, you can hear very little because I'm traveling through that contact zone slowly. But if I then speed up, now I'm generating that quick racket head speed, and this is what we want. Now later on in the video I'll show you a great drill that you can do to practice that racket head speed and help you get more power on your forehand. Now the second step is all about coiling the upper body at the start of the swing so that you're able to store energy in the major muscles in your trunk. Now if we take a look at some of the best players in the world, let's see how they prepare when they recognize that the ball is coming to their forehand side. So as you can see there, as soon as the players are recognizing that the ball is coming to their forehand side, that initial step, that first thing they're doing is turning this left shoulder if they're right-handed and the right shoulder if they're a left-handed player. So they're turning that shoulder as early as possible. This will do 2 things. It gives you time, it creates time. Now if I do nothing with my racket head, but I simply turn the upper body at the start of the swing, I go from this ready position where I'm facing the net to now a side-on position, without doing anything with my racket. So I've simply coiled up the upper body, and this has already started that preparation and has already started the swing. If I coil the upper body at the start, what I'm doing is separating this shoulder, my left shoulder, from my hip. So I'm not doing it as one massive turn with my whole body where the hip is also turning at the same time. What I'm trying to do is feel that my left shoulder is separating from my left hip. So I'm going from here to here, and as you can see now there's a big twist in my abdominal muscles, in the trunk muscles, especially the oblique muscles. And what this is doing is I'm storing energy in those muscles, the major muscles of the trunk, the muscles responsible for rotation. So once I store that energy, once I get to here, now I can start turning the hip as well. And once I turn that hip, I've now rotated my body side on to the net. And I've also coiled up with this left arm. So the left arm is coming across the body. I'm now facing the net sideways on. This will allow me to store the energy but also have that racket preparation. So when I'm moving to the ball, I'm not moving to the ball like this and then preparing. I want to feel that I'm moving to the ball in a side-on position. So I'm turning and then I'm moving. Now if I move to the ball front on, this is how it will look. I'll be moving like this and then I have to turn. It takes too much time, and those side steps won't help me get to that ball quickly, especially if the ball is wide away from me. So that first step is that coil with the upper body. I'm coiling the upper body, now I can turn the hip, and now I can run normal to that ball. This will create time and will help me to have energy from the trunk. And step 3 now is having a good swing with our forehand. We can do everything right with the body, but if our swing is too small, is too compact, we'll always struggle to generate that racket head speed. Now if my swing is only down here, but I've coiled up my upper body, I'm using my legs well, Everything is working with my body, but my racket is just from this position and I'm trying to accelerate to the contact point. The distance for me to accelerate is only a couple of feet. Now this simply won't work if I want to generate that effortless racket head speed. Yes, I can get power from here, and yes, I can still get some racket head speed, but it's very forced because the distance from the power position to the point of contact is minimum. What we want to feel is that we have a circular loop, a bigger loop, so that it allows us space to accelerate that racket. So if my racket is down here, going from here to here is very hard. But if my racket is up here, now I've increased the distance from my power position to the point of contact greatly. So I've increased it by a couple of feet. So instead of swinging from here and forcing it, I can now swing from here, be much more relaxed, much more loose with the arm, much more relaxed with the wrist, and I can generate that power by using that longer swing path. So having a circular loop will help you to generate more power on your forehand. Another important thing to note in the preparation of your forehand is if my racket head and if my grip are on the same level, from here now, if I want to have a bigger circle or if I want to have more space to accelerate, I have to lift the racket really high with my arm because they're level. If I'm in that position, it doesn't look correct, it doesn't look right, it doesn't help me generate that effortless power. But if I drop the arm now and lift the racket head so that the racket head is higher than the grip, now I have that space to accelerate, but also I'm creating leverage in the racket and the wrist. So this leverage is basically force over that ball. The ball that's coming into us will have some amount of force on it, and in order for us to overcome that force, we need something like a leverage. Now imagine when you're hammering a nail into your wall. You've got the hammer and you're holding it like this, and you're going into the wall like this. Now that same idea, we want to have that same concept when we're hitting our forehand. If I have my racket traveling like this, it's almost like I'm traveling with a hammer towards that ball, but if I'm traveling like this, it's very limited. So it comes back to that leverage, it comes back to that force over the ball, and by lifting the racket head higher than the grip level, when we're getting to that power position, when we get to a position similar to this, from here now, I've created that leverage, but also I've cocked back my wrist slightly, so that instead of being in a neutral position with my wrist has gone back slightly, and this will allow me to achieve step 4 much easier, as you'll see when we get to that step. So a circular loop will help us generate power because we have the space and the distance to actually accelerate that racket properly. It comes back to that racket head speed. So this circular loop, where you see the players going up, down, and then swinging forward, is the easiest way for you to achieve power and to achieve that effortless power from just a swing. Step 4 now to creating effortless power on your forehand is generating racket lag prior to contact. So after we have reached that power position, we've coiled up the upper body, we're having that circular loop. As we start the drop now from that power position, what we want to achieve is this racket coming behind the grip. So the butt cap of the racket is pointing towards the oncoming ball, and that's leading the way. Comes back to that leverage, almost like that hammer coming into the nail. We want to feel like we're going to hit the ball with the bottom of the racket. Now if I come forward with my racket and my grip level, you can see that there's no leverage, there's no racket lag prior to contact. Whereas if I get from that power position, I now allow the wrist to cock back fully, or almost fully, and I allow the racket head to lag behind the grip. This is also creating more leverage, force over the ball. So if I can achieve a position similar to this prior to contact, This will help me with the racket head speed, but also having that force over the ball. So it will give me more power on my forehand. Now, some coaches will say that you should achieve racket lag naturally. You shouldn't have to think about it. And for some players, this will be true. But for the vast majority of players, they'll have to work on it at some stage in their forehand. For myself, a great drill that I used to do was to actually hit the ball with my butt cap. So instead of just thinking about hitting the ball with my strings, I'd warm up 5 or 10 shots in the service box where my coach or my hitting partner feeds the ball to me, and I do my whole swing, and instead of hitting the ball with the strings, I now hit the ball with my butt cap. And this allows me to feel that lag, and this allows me to feel that that's leading the way forward to the oncoming ball. So if you want to achieve that racket lag, this could be a great drill for you. Instead of hitting the ball with the strings, hit the ball with the bottom of the racket, the butt cap of the racket, and really feel that relaxation when you're coming to the ball. Don't force it. You don't want to feel like you're forcing this lag and your wrist is very stiff and the whole arm is tight. You want to achieve it in a relaxed way, in a loose way. Now, when you're first learning it, you might have to have some tension to actually allow your racket to get back into that position. After you start working on it, hopefully it becomes more and more relaxed, and eventually you want to feel that this is happening in a very loose, relaxed way, because that's the way we want to hit our forehand for effortless power. If we're stiff, if we're tense, the muscles don't work as well. If we're relaxed and loose, the muscles can now fire properly in that effortless way, and this is what we want to have, especially if we're playing matches. We don't want to be tight for 3 hours, we want to be loose for 3 hours. Good. And step number 5 is using the ground force, which means using the leg muscles, the major muscles in the leg, to push off the ground and explode into the ball. Now, we can do everything right with the upper body, but if we're not using the major muscles in the legs, we'll never generate the most amount of power that we can possibly have on our forehand. It's like serving without the legs. Imagine hitting your serve and trying to really go for the serve, but taking the legs out of the equation, taking the legs out of play. You want to feel that on the serve, just like on the forehand, you're going into a good knee bend to then explode up. And this is the same on that forehand. Now, depending on if you want more topspin on your shot or a flatter ball, you'll have to change stances and also change the way you actually execute that shot. If I want more power, my swing will be a little bit more linear, so I'll be going outwards towards my target much more than if I want more spin. So if I want more power, I'm going to hit the ball flatter in general. So for a flatter shot, the neutral stance will suit you much better. So this is where you get into that side-on position with your upper body. So you're still coiling, but now instead of opening from here with the open stance, I step forward with this left leg if I'm right-handed, and from here I can now go back leg to front leg during that contact zone. So I'm still loading the legs and I'm still using the major muscles. Now, when you are loading, you want to feel like you're using the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes as well, and also the calves. Everything is involved in that loading phase. If my height is 6 foot, when I'm loading up for my forehand, I want to be down at 5 foot. So I've gone 1 foot lower using my legs. I don't want to bend with my back. I don't want to be bending like this. I want to be bending like this. I'm storing up the muscles. I'm using those major muscles off the legs to help me then explode up into the ball. So going back to the stances, if I want to hit more topspin, I'll use the open stance more because I want to go from a low position upwards on the ball. We'll get into that in video number 2. But if I want more power, we want to use the neutral stance as often as possible, because from this position now, I'm storing the energy on that back leg, and as I come forward towards the contact point, I now have that weight shift from the back leg to the front leg. So I'm in that position, and now I start that weight shift onto the front leg. Now from here, I can carry on longer with the ball by being in that neutral stance, which allows me to hit that more linear swing path. This will help me to have that racket head speed in that forward way as opposed to that upward way, the vertical way on the topspin shot. So when you want more power, try to feel like you're stepping into the ball using that neutral stance. So you're coiling up, I'm getting my racket back, I'm using that circular loop, and then as I step forward with this left leg, I'm having that weight shift. Back leg, front leg, back leg, front leg. If I can master this, you'll see a huge difference in the power on your forehand, simply because you're using the major muscles from the legs. Now, a great drill for you to improve your racket head speed and improve the power on your forehand is simply to do shadow swings. So this is where you have no ball, you don't even need a court for this, you can do this anywhere where you have enough space. What we're going to do is shadow our forehands. So instead of shadowing it and just doing it kind of half-hearted, we're going to really imagine that there is a ball coming onto us, and we'll focus just like we'll be focused when we're hitting the real ball. So we're going to set up, do our split step, coil the upper body, and then start that swing. And as you can hear, I'm trying to produce that swoosh sound during the contact zone. So once again, coiling up and swing. And if you can practice 40 to 50 of these every day, I guarantee that you'll have more power on your forehand in a week. If you can do this every day, shadow swings without the ball, and you work on that racket head speed, I'm really accelerating the racket all the way through that contact zone. And once you go out and actually hit the real ball, try to feel that same swing. So you've taken the ball out of play when you're doing your shadows, but when you start hitting the shot, try to feel that same racket head speed through that contact zone. Now, inside our forehand revolution course, we'll cover each of these segments in much more depth, and we'll show you more ways to increase your racket head speed and generate more power on your forehand. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and also turn on the notification bell so you get our latest videos as soon as we release them. So a quick recap, step number 1 is generating effortless racket head speed. Anything that allows us more racket head speed will give us more power. Step number 2, coiling the upper body at the start of the swing, storing the energy in the trunk muscles. Step number 3, having a good circular swing so that you're able to generate that racket head speed and momentum from your swing alone. Step number 4, achieving good racket lag, hopefully in a very relaxed and loose way. And step 5, using the ground force, so the major muscles in the legs to load up and then to drive into the ball. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and also leave a comment down below. Signing off, Simon from T2T, all the best and see you soon. Hey everyone, Simon here from Top Tennis Training, and in this video I'm going to show you 3 ways to generate massive topspin on your forehand. Now the first step is all about the swing path during the contact zone. Now when we want more power, we're going to try to swing outwards more towards the contact and try to flatten out the shot. So the swing path is more linear. I'm going outwards towards my target. When I want more topspin, however, I want to feel that my racket is traveling from low to high, and this swing path becomes very much a vertical swing path. So power, linear, and topspin, I'm going to be going vertically up the ball. Now if you imagine the ball as a clock, when we want more topspin, we want to be going from that 6 o'clock under the ball to 12 o'clock. So you're brushing from that low to high, vertically up on the ball. The faster we do this, the more topspin we'll have. So if we really accelerate from that 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, we can generate massive topspin just from that swing path. So anything that will allow us to go from 6 to 12 will help us to generate more topspin. So this includes the legs, this includes the racket drop, but we'll get into those things later in the video. For now, step number 1 is going from low to high on the ball from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Once you can master this concept, you'll see a huge increase in your topspin right away. Now step number 2 is all about the racket head dropping below the ball level. Where many players go wrong when they want more topspin is that they imagine they're brushing the ball, but they're brushing the ball from the same level as the ball. They're brushing the ball from ball level. So if we imagine if this is the ball now, many players when they want more spin, they have the racket on the same level as the ball and then they brush up. So they're only brushing up 50% of their full potential. Now if I can drop the entire racket head below that ball, now I can really go from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So prior to contact, feel that the entire racket head is dropping into a position similar to this. Instead of having the racket and the grip level like this, you can see that the racket head has now dropped below the grip level, so the grip is higher than my racket head in this position. And from here now, I can really accelerate upwards using that windshield wiper motion. If I do nothing with my body, but I simply go from that position here, the drop position, to an upward position where the top of the racket is pointing now to the sky. So from being down there to being up here, the quicker I can do this, the more topspin I can have on that shot. Another thing to note is when the ball is coming into you, many players will drop the racket head below the ball as it's coming into them. So as the ball's bouncing and rising up, they've dropped the racket head. Now where they go wrong is that they allow the ball to drop to such a low position and then they brush, that often they've actually come on the same level as the ball when they're making contact. They've dropped the racket head, the ball has bounced. Currently right now my racket is lower than the ball, but then the ball drops and then I end up hitting it on the same level. So wherever I'm making contact, I want to feel that the racket is below that contact point. So if I'm making contact here, my racket should be here. If I'm making contact here, my racket should be down there. So lower than the contact point, not just lower than the ball. So try to really feel that the entire racket head has dropped below the contact point, so that during the contact zone, you're able to go 6 to 12 and accelerate up the back of the ball as quickly as you can. Now remember, when you're going through this contact zone, if I do this slowly, if I have a slow racket head, I can do everything right, I can go 6 to 12, but if I'm going through that contact point slowly, I won't have heavy topspin. So it comes back to that racket head speed. Back to video number 1. If you haven't done so already, go and check out that video right now. So you have the racket head going through that contact zone quickly, but going in that vertical way, going from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So instead of going forward with the racket head, I'm going upwards. Step number 3 is using the leg muscles to really drive up the contact point, to really drive up that ball. Once again, it comes back to that racket dropping below the contact point. Now, a great way for you to do this is simply by bending the legs, especially using the open stance or the semi-open stance. If you've watched video number 1, you'll know that if you want more power, we try to use the neutral stance. We try to step forward with this left leg. Now, when we want more topspin, we want to do the opposite. We want to be stepping from this outside leg, which is my right leg. So I'm loading up on this right leg, and as I drop the racket now, I don't want to be going forward with my body weight, I want to be going upwards. So I want to almost jump into the ball, going from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock as I make contact. That's why if you see a lot of the clay court players, they really use that open stance very often, because their power is not going forward. Their intention is not to hit the ball flatter. Their intention is to drive up the back of the ball, hitting heavy topspin, and the open stance allows you to do this the best. If I'm using a neutral stance, this becomes much harder to go from here to here. Whereas with the open stance, I can go down, I can also coil the hips, and then I can unload in this upward way, in that vertical way, as opposed to the linear way. Now, many players will ask us how Rafa hits with so much topspin. And if we go back to that swing path being low to high, and the reason he uses the buggy whip so often, especially in the matches, if you watch him training, he hits the ball flatter, he really goes for his forehand much more than when he is playing matches. Tends to finish more in practice across his chest like so. But when he gets into the match and he wants to be safer, he wants to hit with more topspin, he tends to finish higher and over the head. Now if you imagine if I'm doing a normal forehand finish, so I've dropped the racket head, I've made contact, I'm brushing the ball, and now my racket head is higher than my head level, but now I pull it inwards to finish over my shoulder, or even lower, I pull it in and finish across the chest. Now my racket has traveled from low to high, but I've stopped it here to then pull it back into my body. Now why Rafa uses that above the head finish is because it allows him to carry on that upwards momentum that he's creating, that upwards racket path. So he's going from low to high, and now instead of pulling it back into his body, he's able to finish over his head. And this is exactly why he'll use this more when he wants that heavy topspin. So if you can imagine, as he's hitting, instead of pulling the racket back across his body, he's now going upwards as much as he can, and then he's pulling it over the head. And that's why Rafa uses that above the head finish more often, because it allows him to hit that heavy topspin, and it really allows him to go low to high at the maximum range of motion. Now inside the Forehand Revolution course, we'll teach you exactly how to get more topspin using simple progressions. These are progressions that will help you to master every phase of the swing and help you to get more topspin, power, control and accuracy on your forehand. So look out for that Forehand Revolution course. You can click the link under this video and you'll get full details about that course coming out in the next few days. Now if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on that notification bell. Now if you're simply a subscriber but haven't turned on the notification bell, you won't get notified when we release a new video. YouTube won't send you a notification. Whereas if you're subscribed and you've turned on that bell, every time we release a video, you'll get a notification from YouTube and you'll be able to watch that video right away. Simon from TTT signing off. All the best guys and see you soon. The Forehand Revolution is here. In tennis, the forehand is the most important shot after the serve and the return. 75% of all winners on the ATP Tour are hit with the forehand. Most players cover between 60 to 70% of the court with their forehands. Think about how often we see Federer and Nadal run around their backhands to hit forehands, often ending up in the doubles alley on that backhand side. Knowing all of this, can you confidently say that you can rely 100% of the time on your forehand to produce a powerful yet consistent shot? If the answer is yes, then you can switch off this video right now. If the answer is no, however, then make sure you watch this video until the end, because the forehand you've always wanted is now within your reach. Now how can I say that so confidently? For over a decade I've helped thousands of students in person improve and transform their forehands. But that number is nothing when you compare it to the millions of students around the entire world that we've helped online with our video lessons. Now picture the last time you were hitting your forehand really well. Remember how effortless it was to generate power. Your timing felt great, the accuracy was on point. You didn't have to force it, everything was just smooth and effortless. Something had clicked. What if you could make that happen more often? What's stopping you from hitting your forehand like that day in and day out? The main factor in all of this is technique, which is why we're super excited to be able to share with you our brand new course, the Forehand Revolution.
This entire course is based on mastering the fundamentals of the forehand and how to practice them to speed up your improvements. You'll have the exact tools that you need to transform your forehand into a reliable weapon that will help you hit more winners and force your opponents into breaking down in the rallies. Imagine, just a couple of months from now, you'll have a consistent forehand that will deliver under the pressure of match play instead of giving your opponent weaker balls that they can attack. You'll be able to hit your forehands with aggressive topspin that will push your opponents back and off balance and make attacking you nearly impossible. You'll be able to attack the ball and move your opponent at will. The timing on your forehand will be there day after day. Gone will be the ups and downs that you currently have due to your forehand technique falling apart. When you need more power on your forehand, you'll be able to sync your body to produce effortless power without stressing your body, helping you hit massive forehands at will. Your opponents will hate playing you. Your training partners and friends will want to know your newfound secrets, and you'll build a reputation as the player with the massive forehand. Your fear of really ripping your forehands will be a thing of the past and will be replaced with confidence in your ability to steamroll through the rallies. The reason most players struggle to improve their forehands is because they look at the whole stroke as one motion. From the start of the swing until the end of the follow through, they only see it as one action. So they work on the entire swing at once. This destroys their chances of truly mastering each segment of the forehand, such as the preparation phase, the swing, trunk rotation, racket lag, the contact zone, and of course the follow through and finish. Building a reliable, consistently good forehand comes down to practice, but equally important, knowing exactly what you should and shouldn't be doing during the swing. If it was solely practice, then thousands of tennis players around the globe would have world-class forehands, as many players spend countless hours training. But that's not the case. To build a great forehand, you need to master each element of the stroke. This includes using the correct grips, preparing properly, and engaging the larger muscles of the body. Having a good swing path, one that will allow you to generate effortless power in an efficient way. Reaching a good power position, coiling and uncoiling during the stroke, getting good racket lag, making contact in the correct zone, and using your body to generate power instead of trying to arm the ball and finish the swing in the most effective way. By breaking up the forehand into small segments, we're able to use progressive drills to help players master that particular motion of the stroke, such as the racket lag or achieving a good power position, and then help them incorporate that into a full motion. Using progressions has become a vital component of our coaching. Without them, players would simply have no way of mastering each element of the forehand in such a small amount of time. Inside the Forehand Revolution course, we'll break down each element of the forehand and show you how to practice it so you can master that one area. Once you feel ready, you can then progress on to the next segment. Step by step, you'll be building a truly reliable weapon. You've probably seen some of these progressions being used by us in some of our videos with our in-person students. But what you don't know is that these same progressions are helping many of our online students who we've never met in person, but are able to coach anywhere in the world, and today you can join them on the path to your own forehand revolution. Many coaches will tell you that it's too hard or even impossible to change bad habits on a stroke, especially if you've been doing them for years. Changing a bad habit requires focused work with simple to follow guidance. It doesn't require more of the same old practice drills that further ingrain the bad technique and take you further from the right path. The great thing about our targeted progressions is that you'll focus on just one or two key things so that you'll be able to truly zone in on that area and not be overloaded by trying to learn everything at once. This is the exact opposite of what happens in most tennis lessons, where you might be asked to focus on 3 or 4 things at once and nothing will improve as your brain is being bombarded by too much information. By using our step-by-step progressions, you'll see positive results much faster, as your focus will be on one thing at a time, helping you to fully grasp that element of the forehand, allowing you to build good habits one step at a time. This truly is your step-by-step guide to building the forehand of your dreams. When you register for Forehand Revolution today, you'll get instant access to all the modules and you'll be on your way to building the forehand that you've always wanted. So if you're ready to transform your forehand, then now is the time to act, because this special offer will only be available for a few days. We need to close registration soon so that we can help our first group of students on their journey to their forehand transformation. So click the button below and we'll see you on court at lesson number 1.